And we stay in the courtroom because 65 years ago, on the 20th of November 1945, just months after the defeat of Nazi Germany, the four victorious powers launched the first of the Nuremberg trials. They are now acknowledged as a milestone in the history of international justice. And to mark this anniversary, a permanent exhibition has been opened in the Nuremberg Palace of Justice. Naomi Scherbel-Ball reports.
65 years after the opening of the Nuremberg trials, the courtroom that witnessed Nazi leaders being found guilty of war crimes has been transformed into a museum. On the anniversary of the first war crimes trial, a recording of U.S. Chief Prosecutor Robert H. Jackson's opening speech at the 1946 trial echoed once again around courtroom 600.
The privilege of opening the first trial in history for crimes against the peace of the world imposes a grave responsibility. The wrongs which we seek to condemn and punish have been so calculated, so malignant and so devastating that civilization cannot tolerate their being ignored.
During the war, Stalin called for the mass executions of German officers and Nazi leaders to be carried out after victory was won. In contrast, Britain, France and the USA demanded that the Nazi perpetrators answer for their crimes in front of a legal court. Benjamin Ferencz, a former U.S. prosecutor in the war crimes trials, returned to Nuremberg at the age of 91 to speak about the trial of the century that saw the eyes of the world focus on Nuremberg.
It was the hope of Nuremberg that we would then create a more humane world by holding accountable the leaders who held the reins of power and have them answer in a court of law.
While Hitler and Himmler escaped justice by committing suicide at the end of the war, 21 other leading Nazis were put on trial in Nuremberg. Under the spotlight of the world's media, the city associated with fanatical Nazi rallies was reborn as the city that hosted the first ever war crimes trial. Attending the opening ceremony of the Memorial Museum alongside Russian, German, French and American representatives, the British Attorney General, Dominic Grieve, spoke about the continued legacy of Nuremberg today.
Out of the horrors of the Second World War was born a process from which everybody in Europe can now derive great pride. It marks the transition where one can look at this as from a historical perspective, but at the same time realise that the important ethical foundations that were born of it are something which are actually very important to our fundamental European freedoms.
The Nuremberg trials paved the way for the establishment of the International Criminal Court and showed that the perpetrators of such unspeakable crimes would be held to account for their actions. As the American prosecutor at the subsequent Nuremberg trials, Ferencz bore witness to this and today used his speech as an opportunity to criticize countries like America who, he says, are not giving their full support to the ICC, those whom he believes have lost the spirit of Nuremberg.